Imagine this for a moment. A kid grows up in a dusty copper town that almost nobody can find on a map. His dad goes underground every single day into the mines. His mom sorts letters at a tiny post office. They are not rich, they are not famous, they are just working. And years later, that same kid walks out onto the lawn of the White House to fight for a UFC world title in front of the entire world. This is the roadmap of Justin Gaethje, from Safford, Arizona to UFC Freedom 250. From a wrestling-obsessed little kid to the man who shocked Ilia Topuria on the biggest stage of his life. This is not a fairy tale, it's a story about pain, failure, discipline, and refusing to quit. Let's start where it really began. Safford, Arizona, a small mining town surrounded by desert, copper, and hard work. Justin Ray Gaethje was born here, November 14, 1988. His father, Ray, spent his days deep underground in the copper mines. His mother, Caroline, was the town postmaster. This was not a place of fancy gym or big sponsors. This was a place where people woke up early, worked long, came home tired. Justin had a twin brother, and from a very young age, both of them discovered something that would shape the rest of their lives: wrestling. He started wrestling at 4 years old. 4. Those early matches weren't glamorous. They were dusty. They were old. And they probably smelled like sweat and dirt. But that is where he learned his first lessons. That nobody is coming to save you on the mat. That you either get back up or you stay down and lose. In Safford, the American dream wasn't about fame. It was about surviving, about working, about doing your job. Justin would carry that same blue-collar mindset into every single fight of his career. In high school, wrestling became more than just an after-school activity. It became his language, his identity. Justin turned into a problem for everyone at his weight class. 4-time finalist, 2-time Arizona State champion. By the time he finished high school, he had almost 200 wins. 200 wins! But the story didn't stop there. He moved on to University of Northern Colorado. Most people never hear about that school in big sport headlines. But for Justin, it was everything. And in 2010, he became the school's first ever NCAA Division I All-American. Think about what that means. A kid from a small copper town becoming the first in his university's history to stand on that national podium. Nobody handed him that. He bled for it. He sacrificed for it. Years of grind for one moment. During college, he tried something new, mixed martial arts. At first, it wasn't some big master plan. It was almost an experiment. But in his very first amateur fight, he picked his opponent up and slammed him so hard that everyone in that small venue realized this is not a normal wrestler. He turned professional in 2011. Small shows, regional promotions, the kind of events where you can hear every single shout from the crowd. But the pattern was already clear. He wasn't just winning, he was destroying people. Then came the call from WSOF, the World Series of Fighting. And there, Justin Gaethje became the lightweight champion. He didn't just win the belt once, he defended it multiple times and stayed undefeated in that organization. By the time he was done, his record looked like a video game. 17-0. Almost all of them finished violently. The kid from Safford had turned into a wrecking machine. In 2017, Justin Gaethje finally stepped into place every fighter dreams about, the UFC. His debut was against Michael Johnson. If you have never seen that fight, go watch it.
It's one of the purest examples of who Justin is. Two men, both hurting, both exhausted, refusing to back down. Justin wobbled, Johnson wobbled. The crowd lost its mind. In the end, Justin broke him. And he sent a message to the entire lightweight division. The highlight has arrived, but chaos cuts both ways. After that debut, he went into back-to-back wars against Eddie Alvarez, against Dustin Poirier. Both fights were insane, violent, unforgettable. Both fights handed him his first professional losses. The world loved watching him, but coaches and analysts were asking one uncomfortable question. How long can someone fight like this before the game catches up? For Justin, those losses were painful, but they were also a mirror. He saw it pure chaos was not enough. So instead of breaking, he studied. Instead of quitting, he adjusted. He started working on something more dangerous than chaos, calculated violence. He changed how he picked his shots. He tightened his defense. He brought his wrestling back into the conversation. And then came a run that reminded everyone why he was special. He knocked down James Vick. He stopped Edson Barboza. He finished Cowboy Cerrone. He destroyed Tony Ferguson in a brutal pandemic-era performance. Each win wasn't just a highlight, it was proof that Justin could be smart and still be terrifying. Eventually, that run earned him the one he always wanted, a shot at the undisputed lightweight title. The first title shot came at UFC 254 against Khabib Nurmagomedov. And even Khabib, the man who had never been hurt, never been rocked, would later say this about Justin. He hit like a truck. Nobody hit me harder than Justin Gaethje. That wasn't said by a fan. That was said by the greatest lightweight of all time. But Khabib is Khabib. He dragged Justin into deep water, took him down and finished him by submission. Then came a second title shot against Charles Oliveira. Justin came in swinging, dangerous as always. And once again, the belt slipped through his fingers. Oliveira survived the storm and submitted him. Twice. The door to the Undisputed Championship opened. Twice. It was slammed in his face. For most fighters, this is where the story ends. They became the guy who almost made it, the permanent contender who never crosses the line. But Justin Gaethje is not built like that. He went back to the lab. He refined again. He reminded himself who he was and why he started. Then came the BMF fight with Dustin Poirier, two men known for violence, meeting again. But this time, Justin didn't just brawl. He set a trap. In the second round, he threw a picture-perfect head kick that shuts the light off on Poirier. The area exploded. I have never thrown it once, Justin said after. I just worked my ass off. The BMF belt went around his waist, and then he didn't stop there. At UFC 324, he went to war with Paddy Pimblett. He knocked Pimblett down multiple times and walked out as the UFC 2 times interim lightweight champion, the first fighter in the UFC history to ever do that. People started saying, maybe this is the version of Justin who finally gets it done. Then the UFC announced something nobody expected. UFC Freedom 250, not in Vegas, not in normal arena, on the south lawn of the White House in Washington, D.C. On that stage, the most unique in UFC history, the main event was set. Undefeated champion Ilia Topuria versus the battle-hardened American brawler Justin Gaethje. Topuria was younger, faster, seen as the future of the division. Bookmakers had him as a heavy favorite. Many fans thought Justin had already taken too much damage, but Justin saw something different. He said he wasn't just here to be remembered as entertaining. He was here to be legendary. This wasn't just another paycheck. This was his last best chance to rewrite his story. June 14, 2026. Bright lights, White House lawn, an octagon standing where political speeches and history usually happens. On one side, Ilia Topuria, undefeated, untested, the champion. On the other side, Justin Gaethje, the underdog from Safford, Arizona. Round after round, they traded pressure. Leg kicks, counters, wrestling feints. Topuria trying to prove he was untouchable. Justin trying to prove there was still one more mountain he could climb. By the end of the fourth round, the damage had piled up. Topuria corner made a decision. They would not send him back out. At 5 of round 4, the fight was stopped. Ilia Topuria quit on the stool. Justin Gaethje had done it. The kid from the copper mine town, and shocked the world on the lawn of White House. And finally, wrapped the undisputed title around his waist. People will talk about his fights as an upset. They'll talk about odds, stats, highlight clips. But that's not the real lesson of Justin Gaethje's roadmap. The real lesson is this: he failed on the bigger stage twice. He got hurt, doubted, written off. He could have accepted being just a fan favorite. Instead, he kept walking. From copper mines to wrestling mats, from empty regional arena to packed UFC cards, from 2 painful title losses to the White House lawn. Not everyone will become a UFC champion. Not everyone will fight under the lights. But everyone has their own version of Freedom 250. A moment where the world tells them it's over. And they have to decide, do they accept that or do they keep moving forward anyway? This was Justin Gaethje American Dream, a roadmap written in sweat, blood and belief. And somewhere out there, someone watching his story right now, it's quietly drawing the first lines of their own.